Anticapitalist. I'm sure many of you know her very well. She's a member of Solidarity, member of the editorial board of the Socialist Register, and author of many articles and of the book Woman and the Politics of Class.
Thank you. So I'm actually going to follow up on some of what Rick said, and actually a couple of the other speakers, pointing to this contradiction between the new period that people are experiencing, where these incredible seismic shifts in their actual well-being, security, assault on their living conditions, and at the same time, absolute, almost no response that we could call much of anything until recently. I'm going to talk about that. But that has to be explained and accounted for. And I really agree with our last speaker who pointed out the difference between anti-neoliberalism and anti-capitalism. And I want to make that distinction when I talk a little bit about the anti-capitalist left in the United States, which I think does very much exist. And the challenge for all of us as part of the anti-capitalist left, whatever stripes we may, and traditions we may draw from, is how to go from being completely marginal to being able to have some impact, and that is going to depend on the re-emergence of movements, but it's also going to depend on our ability to overcome some of the disastrous politics and organizational forms that have, to my view, completely led to left debilitation. Okay, so one of the things we face is that the Democratic Party and the trade unions, in particular the Democratic Party, has completely embraced neoliberal solutions to the crisis. And that, of course, has left the working class without anybody to defend its interests. But I think the neoliberal shift in the Democratic Party reflects not just the capture of the Democratic Party by the moneyed interests, although that has been extremely important, but I think it also reflects deep, enduring splits in the American working class, splits that have led to its disorganization and that will need to be overcome, and that are going to be difficult to overcome. In particular, split between full-time workers and precarious workers, a split between the permanently unemployed and unemployed people, also people marginalized because of their immigrant status, their sexual or gender practices, their race, mental or physical disabilities, low-income retired people, and so forth. These splits have led to a situation where the privileged are often led to try to solve their problems on the back of the less privileged. And the tax revolts is the best evidence of this. The ways in which lowering taxes has been very appealing to a broad sector of the employed white working class, not only, believe it or not, in the private sector, but also in the public sector. In addition to these enduring splits, and in part because of them, the capitalist class has been able to blackmail voters and governments into participating in the race to the bottom as they compete to offer the best business climate to attract capital. The logic of capital imposes itself from the most local governments to the international level. This threat, capital strike, is real. Of course, on top of that reality, they build elaborate falsehoods of, you have to give away the whole store in order to keep your jobs. But nonetheless, although those are false to a large degree, they also have a reality, and we've seen enough deindustrialization both from state to state and from out of the state